Okay, we're ready to change these things from channels now into separate bitmap images. These three things that the computer is kind of representing in these colors, and we're just going to turn them to plain black and white images that are just basically dots. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here, and so to do that, what we need to do is we need to go up into this channels, the channels palette, not the layers palette, but the channels palette. And we're going to go ahead and split these. So we're going to click the split channels option. And when we do that, it's going to go from one image, which you want to make sure that you've saved that somewhere, obviously, into these three. So it's taken those three different channels and it split those out into a whole bunch of three different grayscale images now. And so if I zoom in on this, like really tight, if I zoom way in, you'll see that this image is made up out of a whole bunch of black and white pixels. So this is not, we couldn't use this for screen printing because it's a whole bunch of gray images, pixels all stacked next to each other. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and change this from pixels into just black and white dots. And if there's something in here I don't like, I could still go in there with my paintbrush, right here, the paintbrush tool, and I could still paint an area out, again, using my flow and opacity to change the kind of intensity of these things. So if I decide I don't really want that much brown, because this is the brown one in here where these letters have hit, I could change that. I could go in there and delete some. I could adjust brightness and contrast, whatever I want to do. But you definitely want to do that now before you get into the next stage of this, because once you go to bitmap, it's sort of permanent. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. So once I have this done, I'd go ahead and save this now. I'd go ahead and save this as a file on its own, just as a grayscale version. I could go ahead and go to File, or I'm sorry, I could go ahead and go to Image, Mode, Bitmap. And that's going to convert this from all those pixels into just black and white pixels. Instead of gray pixels, they're going to be either a black pixel or a white pixel, so it becomes binary. So since my input was 300 pixels per inch, my output's going to be the same. I want to make sure I choose the halftone screen as opposed to some of these other options I have here, which can be fun to play with, but for what we're doing, we're not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. And then I want my frequency, how big or small my dots are. And I never want to go bigger than 50 lines per inch. So I'm going to go ahead and select 50. Then the angle is the angle that sort of halftone screen is set at. And you don't want all three of these set at the same angle. You want them different. So I'm going to go ahead and set the first one at 75. I'm going to choose an ellipse for the shape. I'm going to click OK on that. And now you see what will happen is after I've turned it into a bitmap, if I zoom in on this thing now, and it doesn't look like much at 100%, but as soon as you zoom in even further, you'll really see, okay, now instead of all those gray pixels, I just have black pixels and white pixels, which is really what we want for our screen printing purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, so File, Save As, and I always try to add some kind of a thing on the end of this thing that lets me know that it's a bitmap, so put a little something at the end of that helps you know which one's which. You want to make sure you save it as a PSD. You can put this someplace on your desktop or in a new folder. Click Save. Okay, so I've got the brown one saved now. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the red one. So I go to Image, Mode, Bitmap. This all stays the same, 300, halftone screen. But then I'll change this frequency, I'll leave the same, but my angle, I don't want to leave that the same. I want to go ahead and change that to like 45. Click OK on that one. And I'll save this, and then I'll go to my last one, which is the blue one, and I'll follow the same directions. I'll go Image, Mode, Bitmap, 300 pixels per inch, and in this case I'll change the angle from 45 to 15. Click OK. Save all of these. Each individual file we're going to bring into Illustrator now, and we're going to convert them back into color, and then we're going to add more stuff on top. But what this does is this gives us a photographic, halftone pattern that we can use in Illustrator now to kind of give us the photographic look that we're going for. We're going to add a whole bunch of handmade kind of marks and type and stuff like that over the top of it. So again, you can play around with these images as much as you want, but as soon as you bitmap them, they're kind of set in stone, and you just bring them into Illustrator from that point.